Preparations in the previous year, Operation High Jump started on the 30th of February 1947, and yet on the 4th of March, after the disappearance of several aircraft, the expedition was cancelled. Although the details have never been published, Admiral Byrd said that objects were able to fly from one pole to the other, and it was necessary to defend ourselves against flying machines from the Antarctic. This is a sketch from the German magazine Spiegel indicating the flying patterns of UFOs. A New Zealand airline pilot, Bruce Cathy, observed similar patterns over New Zealand. In 1958, the Americans sent a major expedition to the Antarctic, during which on the 27th of August, the 30th of August and the 9th of September, there is evidence that nuclear missiles were fired at Neusvardenland, the German territory. This could be linked to the holes in the ozone layer in the Antarctic today. There are parts of a report of a kamikaze operation being a joint German-Japanese expedition in the Hanibu 3 to the planet Mars. A Hanibu 3 with a diameter of 71 metres is claimed to have enough power to travel the 75 million kilometres the distance from Earth to Mars. There is a 1945 report that the SS Department D4 decided to make this journey. This would have been a one-way trip, unless they received help along the way or at the other end of the journey. In this latter part of the war, the level of desperation was sufficient to try anything that could change the fate of Germany. The Hanibu 3 was supposed to reach Mars in 8.5 months, in January 1946. The Hanibu 3 was the only craft which had the speed to reach Mars, and yet if it did arrive, there's no evidence of a friendly welcome. These photographs of the surface of Mars show the bleak landscape that would have greeted these space travellers. Many researchers, seeing this huge carved face on Mars, wonder if it might have been carved long ago as a deliberately grim reminder left by a civilization destroying itself with war and greed, or nuclear holocaust, perhaps millions of years ago. There was an old Egyptian legend of the god Marduk being sad about his home country, Mars. There are photographs of pyramids on Mars and of a ruined city the size of Los Angeles, complete with an underground grid system still emitting infrared or heat radiation. We can only speculate on these things, but it is remarkable that with satellites able to read a newspaper on Earth from various vantage points orbiting around the planet, and with almost every astronaut coming back with stories of seeing flying saucers in space or being greeted by 100 spacecraft on what is supposed to be the first landing on Moon, that no believable explanation has been offered regarding the vast number of sightings by people of all ages and professions. There are 1 million in the USA alone, where military personnel are trained to debunk sightings, and NASA curiously publishes photographs showing UFOs, such as this one. Whilst it makes little sense for armament manufacturers to create hundreds of thousands of nuclear bombs, enough to extinguish all life on this planet many, many times, there is likely to be more to this puzzle. And it may be one of the many vitally important realities which are kept secret by the powerful few. These are official NASA photographs. Exactly what is pictured remains uncertain. It is, however, worth mentioning a report in the highly regarded Australian magazine Nexus that a Russian spacecraft photographing Mars ceased transmission in the presence of a huge UFO. Perhaps the Americans and Russians are preparing their Star Wars capabilities for an invader